Hello, good evening and good morning. I don't know why I said good evening because it could be good morning when you're watching it. But hello and welcome to the United Stand. It's a good time to be a United fan. We've beaten Burnley away. City have played extra time and been knocked out of the FA Cup to Arsenal. And Crystal Palace won at Anfield. But we've lots to talk about. Zlatan, I said earlier on the watch along we would revisit him. David De Gea leaving Manchester United and selling his property. We'll delve into that. But first of all, we're going to start off with the aftermath of Manchester United's result today. Jose Mourinho shocking fans again. I'm going to say that I back him on both these points, but I'm not going to tell you why until Ross and Drawty have given their opinion. So effectively, Mourinho has come out and said that he is... I don't even know if we're live yet. That's great.
We're live, we're fine.
We're live on YouTube, I'll be great. Okay. So yes, Jose Mourinho has come out and shocked Manchester United fans yet again with two bits of pearlers that I back him on. But I will go to Ross and Drawty to get their thoughts first. But without dropping into rubbish Irish, let me tell you what he said. The first thing is that regardless of results today, regardless of the fact that if we win the derby on Thursday, we will be in pole position for top four. The Europa League is the priority, and he will rest players in the Premier League regardless of how easy it is to get. We're a trophy-winning club, and fourth or third place is not a trophy. That's his first point. That has shocked a few fans. Social media moaning, saying, no, we should be going for the league. The cup is a lottery. The second thing, he has said, if I was Chris Smalling or Phil Jones, I would be putting myself forward to play on Thursday night. The people around them in their head may say middle of May next season, but if Eric Bailly is playing 9 games in a row like he is, they should be putting their body on the line too. Again, a lot of people saying he's pressuring players, he's throwing them under a bus. I throw it to you, Ross. What's your thoughts on those points?
Do you know what? On the Europa League sort of Premier League thing, I think it's fantastic. I think he's just had a big time dig at all the other clubs like Man City and Liverpool that have no chance of winning any trophy this season. So they're effectively out. And all they've got is that top four where he's absolutely right. We're a trophy-winning trophy-winning club. And I would much rather finish 8th and win the Europa League and get Champions League football than scrape 4th and not win it. Because to lift a trophy and to do... Well, I know it's not a great double, but to get 2 trophies in a season is fantastic, especially for your first season. So I just think it is a big up yours to kind of them sort of clubs. And also on the Jones and Smalling thing, I think he's absolutely right. And I think it seems to be English players more than others just get pampered and seem to pander to physios, saying, "Oh, you need a month off with a minor bruise." Where no other players are having that, and why not play for an injury? I mean, can't get any worse for Phil Jones, sort of physically. So I can't see why he shouldn't do.
Exactly. End of May, you got the whole summer off. We've all played with injuries in the past.
Right.
Chad Sproul makes a good point. We should all just take a moment and laugh at Liverpool. But do you think there's an element of psychological mind games already from Mourinho? Massive game on Thursday, Drawty. He actually said, I'll rest players again on Thursday because the priority is the Europa League. Now, I understand the frustrations of United fans. I've got to have a look at both sides here. And if you're a United fan looking at this, you think Liverpool have lost today. We've got 2 games in hand on them. If we win them, we're 3 points ahead of them. If we beat City, we're ahead of them, having played the same games. Why rest players on Thursday? Put the best team out. We've got Swansea at home on Sunday. Rest players then, and then it's another 4 days till Celta Vigo. Do you expect him to play a strong side against City, or do you think he will rest players again?
To be honest with you, I think he can play whoever he wants. After that Chelsea game, I genuinely think whoever he picks will do the job now. It's going to the business end of the season. It's taken an entire season for the players to step up to the mark. But he's got them ticking now. Even Martial today. Even Wayne Rooney. I mean, come on. This start of this season, we were all moaning, saying, the squad wasn't strong enough. Even a couple of weeks ago, we didn't know if it was going to happen. And now he's got everyone playing. With Zlatan out of the picture, Rashford stepped up. Rojo's gone. Blind stepped up today. And I think his warning shot to Smalling and Jones is pretty much saying, look, these guys have stepped up. If you want to be part of this team, step up too. I don't think they're mentally strong enough to do that. But in terms of mental mind games against everyone else, he's absolutely right. The priority is 100% the Europa League. I know it's a lottery, but we're not Arsenal. 4th place is not a trophy. I would rather go Europa League and bust than not. And the funny thing would be, if we did win the Europa League, didn't Liverpool get to the final of the Europa and EFL Cup last year and lose them both? Wouldn't it be great if we won both of them? Just a kind of a middle finger up to Jurgen Klopp.
No, I agree. Mourinho is a genius when it comes to mind games, says Louise O'Donoghue. Europa is looking good for us, says Supreme. Pep Guardiola flop, says Stephen. You've wasted an opportunity there. You've used 3 words when you could have just used 2. Pep Guardiola. Guru says Scouse is 5th. Haha. They're not. They're not, are they? No, they're still 3rd. Maybe it means at the end of the season. I'd love that. Our squad is strong enough, says Darth Vader. I knew Palace would beat them today, says Alex O'Donnell. Me and Ross were talking about it. Ross won a tenner off it. I really didn't see that coming, but they had 1 shot on goal in the whole time. I'll tell you what, I'm not even just saying this for a bit of a laugh. I watched the game today. I very rarely watch Liverpool. It's like a bloody morgue at Anfield. What are they on about? We've got the greatest ground in the world. I've seen more atmosphere at the Etihad when it's empty, which is when Man City play. But it's ridiculous. I remember when we played them last in October, and it's just, I don't know whether Liverpool did used to have a really intimidating atmosphere. Not anymore. Not anymore. Vader, I'm so glad we don't have Klopp or Guardiola, says Louise. Speak to Alex, he's not on tonight, but he wanted both of those. And Guardiola is overrated, says Lorenzo Rodriguez, who I asked you to DM me on Twitter and you haven't done it. But enough of the domestics. Let's go to... let's talk about the top 4 for a bit. There was a lad who joined a bit late. He can turn the light off when he leaves. He was saying, what's the shocking news? The shocking news is that Mourinho is still saying, even though we've got a very good chance of top 4 for a lot of fans now, that he won't prioritise it. He will still prioritise Europa League, which very quickly, the lads have said it, I back that. We're 3 games away from winning a trophy and getting the Champions League. With the squad that we've got, yes, I agree with that. I think the run-in in the Premier League is ridiculously tough. City away, Arsenal away, Spurs away, Southampton away. 12 points from them is like winning that's championship form. I mean, we can do it, but it's very hard, and you've got to exert a lot of energy, which is a risk when you've got the Europa League. The second thing was that he says that Smalling and Jones, who aren't due back until the middle of May, should be putting themselves forward to play on Thursday, injured or not, because Eric Bailly is running through brick walls and they are wrapping themselves in cotton wool. Which again, I back, but some people are quite shocked by that, saying he's throwing players under the bus again. Personally, I back it, especially in the case of those 2. But, Ross, I've just given you a bit of a fixture rundown there. I think Liverpool have got Watford away, West Ham away, Middlesbrough at home, and somebody else at home of their 4 games left. City have got us, and then a relatively easy run-in. We know we've got Spurs away, Arsenal away, City away, Southampton away, Swansea and Palace at home. You'd expect us to win those. Do you think we can win top 4? I mean, there's not really margin for error if we lose one of those games, is there?
Oh yeah, I seriously do, and I said it in the watch-along earlier as well, that Liverpool slip up against all the teams that are in the bottom half of the table, and the fact that they've got that as their running, I think, will benefit us and is detrimental to Liverpool. And I think it's the other way around regards to Manchester United. I think we played some of our worst of football, well, not worst of football, but some of our worst results have come against teams like Burnley, who obviously we did win against today. But I just think that these games like Man City, I just love the added spice, and I'm looking forward to the game on Thursday. And I think we'll get a result. And I'm exactly what Draughty said. I think Jose can play. I don't think he has an A and a B team anymore. I think he can put any 11 players out there, and as long as he's got his tactics right, I think he can beat anyone.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it before on the watch-along before the game started, that if we could just scrape any result against Burnley and have that opportunity that if we beat City on Thursday, it gives that added spice to what's going to be a great game anyway. There's so many aspects to it that we'll be building up through the week. Pep v Jose, probably do that on Tuesday night. Got lots of things planned for that. But Ray Carl Brown Amore has made a comment on the Super Chat. He's contributed a couple of pounds. Thanks for that, Ray. He says, bullshit, if you play... I like the way I ran into that. But he says, bullshit, if you play Hurts, then you play bad. He's talking about the Jones and Smalling thing. I understand your point, Ray. You've contributed to the channel, so I can't really have a pop at it. Suffice to say, I will, and say if they're basically coming back from injury, you can play with a knock. You can force yourself through. Whether it's advisable or not, I sort of understand. But interestingly, picking up on what Ross said there, and Draughty said it as well, I feel that, and I want to ask Draughty about Zlatan now, just to give him a bit of a heads up, but I feel that we obviously lost Zlatan on Thursday. He's not dead. A lot of people have said these shirts with Ibrahimovic on the back and Rojo, they're not dead. They're just injured. They're not dead. I must confirm that. But they are out for the season. But today was almost like Rooney and Martial were like two new signings. And a lot of players in that situation could have their arse in their hands and be like, you've not used me all year. I think both of them grabbed the opportunity. That's really exciting as well. Another super chat, sorry. And this is well timed from Sam Hewitt. He says, glad Zlatan is going. He thinks he's bigger than the club and a top striker would have scored 50 with his chances. Thoughts? Draughty, you can answer that one.
I think it's unfair to say he could have scored 50. We know the Premier League quite well, and the last player to get anywhere near those kind of figures was Cristiano Ronaldo when he had that amazing season with 42 goals. Obviously, he didn't score 42 in the Premiership, but Zlatan, I love Zlatan. I've always liked him above Ronaldo and Messi just because of his ego and just the way he is as a player. For me, he is still one of my top players at the moment. But I do concede this season. I wouldn't say he's lazy, but I think because of his age, obviously you adapt as a striker. And when he's up top, obviously he's usually having to hold the ball up, not create too much. And he has a lot of opportunities which he's missed. And had he buried those, then, you could say, yeah, we probably would have scored more. We probably would have turned a lot of those draws into wins. But at the same time, if you take Zlatan out of Manchester United and you didn't have him this season, would Marcus Rashford have scored as many goals as him? I don't know. It kind of just feels like Rashford stepped up at the right time when Zlatan did get injured. And, he's coming to the fore now. Zlatan has been integral to where we are right now. I don't think we could have got through this season as we have without him. But seeing the fact that he is now, well, to be honest, it looks like a career-ending injury for him in terms of the big time. If he is out until Christmas, he'll be 36. I don't know any top-level player who's come back and played at the top level at 36 with a major injury. Can you, Mark? Can you think of anyone?
No. But I saw, Lorenzo, thanks. I've seen your message. Right. I think Mourinho was asked about both injuries and said it's not my place. When they've got something to say, they'll come out and say it, which I think was a hint that Zlatan will come out and say that that's it. I think the Premier League was actually catching up with him anyway. I don't agree with anybody saying, oh, we'd be better off without Zlatan, because I think in many ways it's worked perfectly for Rashford and now Martial that Zlatan's took on the weight of all the bad results and the responsibility and the leadership, and now at the cutting edge of the season when we've started to play well, obviously he falls away injured and they've got a very short season, basically 6 weeks, and hopefully we won't have too many blips in there, but I can't think of anybody who's come back from an injury like that at that age, and why would you really? I think he will do in some way. I could almost see him going to America because I just think he won't want to end it that way. But I'll throw this at you, Ross, because we can talk about Zlatan a little bit here because there's a few points to pick up on. There was a comment here I wanted to read. Who was it? Yeah, it was quite a critical comment. I'm not going to read the person out because they'll get hate, and I don't like that. But they basically said that Zlatan, this injury is a good thing. He should have been dropped sooner. Mourinho kept playing him way too much. The free kicks were just another example of how he was Mr. Manchester United and nobody should be bigger than the club. Conversion rate, as Xander said on the live show, I don't know whether this is correct, of 11% from all his chances. So I can sort of see where somebody would come from and say, look, he should have 50 goals. He's got 28, he should have 50 because of all the chances he's missed. But I do agree with what Draughty says there. Name me a striker who's got 50 goals in a season and you're going to struggle. But I agree he could have had a lot more goals than he's got, but he's already done pretty bloody good with 28. And whether it's Zlatan's fault that he should have been subbed in a few games and we should have been... what I'm trying to say in a long-winded way is that do you think we've not mixed it up enough this season? We've been a bit too predictable because we never did sub Zlatan. We always picked Zlatan. And I do agree, and I said it on the watch-along, that first goal today was pure Manchester United on the break. And we would never score a goal like that with Zlatan playing.
Yeah, I think the timing of it is not really a coincidence that our sort of play has changed style since Zlatan's outing. But I think that Zlatan come to this club and he took the whole weight of all the goals on his shoulders. And it took someone of that experience and that cockiness to be able to do that. And all the pressure was on him, and I think he done a fantastic job. And I think Martial and Rashford can come into the team with a little bit less pressure now, because we've even seen Zlatan struggle to a point. But I think everything's happened at the right time. I think the injuries at the right time. I agree with what you said. I think the Premier League was catching up with them a bit, and I think that's just due to the fact that he took the Premier League face on, and he was physical, he battled, he was battling aerial headers, and that would have taken its toll on him more than anything he's ever had in another league. I do agree, think that. But and I just think that it took its toll in him in the end, and I absolutely respect what he's done. I'm with Draughty, absolute legend in the game. Pleased to have had him, but I think we've had him now, and I don't think we'll see him again, unfortunately. But at the same time, I'm excited for the future of Manchester United, because other players are stepping up to it with a lot less pressure than they would have had if they were starting as United's main striker at the start of the season.
Look, at the end of the day, I think you've covered it really well. The reality is, whether you're for Zlatan or against him, the position is probably where we all agree, is that for the exciting future of Manchester United, especially over the next weeks, Rashford and Martial. I mean, Bill Mees just said it. Am I the only one excited about the rest of the season with Martial and Rashford's pace attacking? I don't think you are, Bill. I think what I would say, and I think a lot of people would echo this, is whatever happens this season, we should never forget that it's built on the shoulders of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Yes, he's missed chances, but where was Wayne Rooney this season as leader and highest earner? Nowhere. Zlatan's been the leader on the pitch. Zlatan's took the responsibility of the team on the pitch, and the fact that Mourinho kept him on for so long is probably because there's not been any other leader on that pitch. I feel terrible that he's injured. I was doing Zlatan watches in the Euros last year. I really wanted him to come to Manchester United. I remember people saying he won't score 10 goals. He's finished. I think he's proved everybody wrong. But I do empathise, Draughty, slightly with the critics, because I do agree that we became a bit one-dimensional in the end because he hasn't got the pace. But that's not necessarily his fault. The manager's got to change things, and he was reluctant to do that. He could have dropped Zlatan to a 10 and played Rashford ahead of him, but he didn't want to do it. And to be honest, the goal I saw today from Martial, the first one, it's been a long time coming, and that's what we want to see in a United shirt.
Yeah, the thing is with Zlatan, 28 goals and 46 appearances this season. Forget all the misses. Seriously, the guy's still got a lot of class, and you don't score that many goals if you don't have talent in abundance. But it kind of feels like that's happened. He's gone. He came here on a free. We haven't lost anything apart from wages. Does that matter? No. His goals have been integral. Just think of the overriding effect he's had on the rest of the team. Marcus Rashford has been learning from Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Anthony Martial has been learning from Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He's been in the dressing room with those guys all season. He's a proven winner. He's done it at the top level. International level, he's also been an absolute superstar for Sweden, even though Sweden have never done anything. Those players have had that experience this season, and that's only going to set them in good stead for next. We'll go into the business end of the season, and now it is time for these players to step up. There's not many games left. If Martial really, really wants to turn it on, now is the time. This is the perfect time. You want to come into form at the end of the season, not in the middle, not at the start, at the end. And that's what the players are doing right now. And that's what Jose Mourinho is doing. He is building up the whole club for this kind of crescendo, hopefully to win the Europa League. And if we do get into the top four as well, even better. I think it would be a massively successful season. Terrible shame that Zlatan's injured. Wish him all the best. I can't see him playing for Manchester United again, but it will be a season that we definitely remember.
Yeah, I'm with you. I won't forget it. This channel won't forget it. If we're successful, he will certainly get the shout out that he deserves. You don't forget your greats, and I think he has been great. And I think you made the very valuable point there about Rashford. Who would Rashford have learned from this year? Nobody. I'll go back on it. I know Rooney was good today, but he's not been good for 3 years, and he's not been good this season. And Zlatan has, that 8 months that Rashford's had with Zlatan will stand him in great stead for the rest of his career. It's been absolutely a privilege to have him at the club. I do agree with the negatives, but I think the positives far outweigh it. And Jerome de Vries makes a good point. I think this injury could have been prevented. He played practically every match. Mourinho should have rested Zlatan more, and I agree with that. I do. I think he did play too much football. he could have been subbed off in games. He was playing in League Cup games and every Europa League game. And we were one-dimensional. We saw it in the first half against Anderlecht coming to Old Trafford and their centre-backs are virtually on the halfway line and they're pressing the hell out of us like a bloody orange. And we don't change it because he doesn't put somebody who's quick up front. That's the manager. The manager's not... I love Mourinho. I think he's done fantastically well at this club. I've backed him from the start. I will back him to the end. He's the best manager in the world. But like anybody in life, he doesn't not make any mistakes. And I think with Zlatan, we should have mixed it up more. We've seen with Rashford up front, away at Sunderland the other week, or was it Middlesbrough, with Martial today, with that pace up front, suddenly Manchester United look a different side. It's difficult at home. I will go back to 3 or 4 weeks ago when we played West Brom and we didn't have Zlatan because he was suspended. We bloody well missed him. They parked the bus. We had no height in this and strength up front. And we couldn't put the ball in the box because we had no one to win it. You miss Zlatan, and we will have games this season where we miss him. But Martial played fantastic today. Ross, is Martial staying at Manchester United?
I think so. I like to think so anyway. I think there was a telling little hug from Mourinho when he took Martial off, which was, a hug to say, you've actually done what I've asked today. And, I think Martial showed more today than he's shown all season. I think that's the reason why I will say this now, because before I'd have probably said no, because even Martial looked a bit sort of disrespondent with what Mourinho was telling him to do. He didn't seem like he was carrying out his tasks. But today he was phenomenal, absolutely fantastic. And if we get that, you said Rashford picking up form, if we get Martial like that as well, then two up front for the rest of the season will be deadly. And I wouldn't want to be the Manchester City back four when Mourinho's, weighing up who he wants to play, Martial, Rashford, or potentially both. So I think it's fantastic, and I think he's going to stay.
Interesting draw, Tim. I've sort of been up and down about Martial, and he has scored a goal today that, if rumours are to be true, and I think it is, that costs us another 8 million to Monaco. If you were thinking about selling a player in the summer, you wouldn't let him score a goal in the last few weeks of the season.
But at the same time, even if you were, you don't want to lose a game. You want your players to score. So why would you not let him score? I'm not saying that he's going to sell them, but even if they were thinking about selling him, they'd still let him score. It doesn't matter with the money. That's the only point I'd make on it. But Martial, for me, he does have an abundance of talent. It's quite clear. Same with Rashford. And I think now it's the time for the two of them to kind of spearhead into the end of the season. And to be honest, dare I say it, when he played up front with Lingard, the other game, Rashford and Lingard, they worked very well together. I kind of want to see those three up top, just because of pace. I just think they'll cause Man City all kinds of problems. I don't know how you feel about that, but for me, it just feels like this is their chance to kind of prove what they're worth.
I think the back four, whatever, we don't know what he'll do with the back four. Might play Luke Shaw. I think the midfield three will probably be... Well, it will definitely be Herrera and Pogba. And then he'll either play Carrick or Fellaini. I would play Carrick because I don't see... I thought Fellaini was up. I don't like Fellaini in the centre circle. It makes me feel sick. But today, because we had no height with Blind and Young, he basically just put Fellaini in front of the back four and it worked really well. I think against City you need Carrick, but he might not do that. But I think the three forward positions are really interesting. So you'd go with Lingard, Martial and Rashford as your front three?
I would, purely because when Rashford was playing up front with Lingard, those two did link very well. And I know everyone gets on Lingard's back, even I do, because I hate the City dabbing and all that kind of stuff. But he puts in a shift 100% every time he's on the pitch. And he just doesn't stop running. And I think if you've got those three, who all three of them have pace, and you've effectively got one on the right, left, and in the centre, just running at the defence, I don't think John Stones will be able to cope with it. And I really do think that those three will give their all in the next game. Mkhitaryan, I mean, what's happened to him lately? Seriously, what has...
I mean,
where's he gone?
A few people are saying Mkhitaryan, but I mean, the thing is, Lingard's a local lad, and I know Lingard's built a career off being a local lad and a youth player. But they do tend to turn up in the derbies. I remember Lingard last year, I think he played quite well. And they seem to get it more. So I think it's a valid argument. Personally, I would probably go Mkhitaryan and Rashford. And I'm tempted to put Rooney in there. I wouldn't start Martial for the simple reason that I'd like Martial to play up front and I'd like Rashford to play up front, and I think if one's not performing well, you take the other one off. Whereas if you play them both, we bring Rooney up front, and that's my only thought. I love them both. They're my two favourite players. I've said that consistently, but I just would like to have, for the rest of the season, I would like them to just share the front position and then sort the other ones around them. I don't know what would you go against City, Ross?
I would love to see what Dorsey said, but I think he'll go a little bit more conservative than that, and I think we'll potentially see Mkhitaryan, Rashford, and because Mkhitaryan will sit in deeper, and Jesse Lingard, because I just think that it will be just a sort of a one-man counter-attack with Rashford and people supporting him as and when they can.
I'd definitely play team, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, I'd play Fellaini as well, and the only reason I'd play him is with the fact we haven't got Zlatan, and I think missing a centre-back for corners, John Stones and even Otamendi and some of the others, they're quite dangerous, and I think just having Bailly as the only real header of the ball would be dangerous. So, and Fellaini, like you were right, Fellaini covered Daley Blind all game today, and I know it's not where we want to see him, but it did kind of work because Daley Blind didn't really get challenged in the air, so it kind of works, and I think we might need that for Man City. That's just my opinion.
I don't want to get too much into the City game because we'll build it up this week, but what I would say is at Old Trafford we played Fellaini in the midfield, and City are a team that move the ball around, especially under Pep, very quick and on the ground, and that's where Fellaini gets absolutely destroyed because he's slow, he's got the turning capacity of a dead whale, and but I suspect he'll probably play for the height. I mean, he's a player who's made a career out of the fact that he's 4 inches taller than everybody else, and that is it. But it was effective today. But I would worry about him playing against City because they do move the ball around very quickly. Interesting. We'll build towards City as the week goes on. I want to talk about this morning. We promised we would revisit it. Well, we're not revisiting it. We've not spoke about it at all yet. David De Gea. Apparently, his property has been put up for sale. Now, there are conflicting things about this. Apparently the house that's up for sale had a room with kids' toys in it, and obviously De Gea hasn't got kids, and then apparently De Gea doesn't own a house, he rents, so there may not be any truth in it, but we have to react to it. We're a Manchester United fan channel. What's your thoughts on this, Drorty? Not necessarily with the factual status of the story, because it could come out tomorrow that it's a load of nonsense, but De Gea, do you think he's going to go? Do you think he will be here next year?
No. 100%. I don't think De Gea will be here next season. It's been going on for a couple of summers now. At the end of the day, as much as De Gea is the best goalkeeper in the world, it's one of those. It's probably the only position on the pitch you could lose your best player, and it's not going to affect you massively. I think under Moyes and LVG, obviously we needed him because our defence was just so shaky. But if you look at the last couple of games, he hasn't really had to do that much. And Mourinho has built all his teams in the past on defensive solidarity. So if you take De Gea out and you put a goalkeeper, even like Romero at the back, you're not going to miss him that much. You know, a goalkeeper is not going to win you a game. He's going to save you points and stop you conceding, yes. But as we've seen with any of the Premiership goalkeepers, Jordan Pickford, Butland, the rest, if you're facing loads and loads of shots at you, eventually you're going to get some in. You're only as good as the defence in front of you. For me, De Gea would be a fantastic make weight with Madrid if we did want to get Varane in, maybe Rodriguez, although I'm not that fussed on Rodriguez.
Even Morata.
Some people even saying Isco, which would be an interesting one. But for me, David De Gea, I think it's kind of run its course, and I'm kind of fed up with the whole Real Madrid saga. I think he's been fantastic for the club, and if he leaves, he's only going to leave with best well wishes. Nothing against him at all, but he clearly does want to go back to Spain, and his girlfriend does. So for me, he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we're probably all old enough to remember. In fact, we will be the Ronaldo saga, and that so frustrated me because I thought we were going to keep him, and we'd had him the year before when I thought he would go, and then he went, and that nothing will ever be on a par with that. And De Gea, we've had a few good years out of De Gea, but I agree with everything Drorty said there. As a goalkeeper, he's the best in the world. I've said it for a long time, but you can replace him far easier than you can a Ronaldo or a Pogba or a Bailly or a Herrera. You know, they're hard to replace. But a goalkeeper, they won't be as good as De Gea, but the margins are far smaller. And I think he will go. I think he's been quite open that he wants to go back to Madrid. It's nothing to do with Real Madrid. That's where he wants to build his family. I don't begrudge him it. He was going to go 2 years ago, and a fax machine mess up stopped it. So we've had two extra years out of it. I think he will go. Ross?
I'm the other way. I think he'll actually stay.
All right.
I don't think that we're not going to have a De Gea transfer
saga. Says he'll go.
That's it. Just because of Balogun. No, do you know what? I think that Real Madrid will not put up with another summer of Manchester United basically pulling their pants down, and I don't think Man United are going to let Real Madrid have David De Gea easy. Like you said, I think there'll be a Varane or I think we're going to charge them an astronomical amount of money for him, and I think De Gea will be okay with that. And I just think Real Madrid will get pissed off and go elsewhere because I just can't see them letting this drag on for too long. I think they'll have a plan B, and I think they'll be more than happy to go for it. I think it'll be if De Gea really pushes the move. I don't think he's going to do that. I really don't. I think he'll be happy to go to Real Madrid. I just don't think that he'll force a move out of Manchester United. And it wouldn't surprise me if he gets another new contract and another big pay rise in the summer. And I think that will be bigger than any signing we have in that summer, because it'll be not replacing what I class as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. That's just my thoughts, and it might be more hoping than true, but that's just what I hope.
Just on the point of Balogun, I would advise any United fan to unfollow I don't think he's even Spanish. I think he's called Dave from Essex, and he just puts it on. But what was it he tweeted the other day? I would love it if Manchester United and all their money don't make it to the final. He's just a bitter. I mean, he must spend 23 hours of the day up Pep's arse, because it's like he's just so anti-United. I can't stand the bloke. He's an absolute joke, and he gets so much wrong as well. So much wrong. I don't know where he came from, but I don't believe he's actually Spanish. Fellaini, Ewan Gordon makes a good point. Fellaini needs to do more exercise to get his fitness up, because he's getting downrated in FIFA every year. And Anup says, Mark, comment on Koeman's warning not to join United because we're an average team. Who's he warning? I don't care. People always take a pop at United, and I think most of the time think it's quite funny. We might have to go all out for this kid Mbappe, says Darth Vader. I tell you what, it's gonna be a great summer, but I'm happy to sort of talk about transfer targets, but I think so much of it is dependent on whether we get Champions League, and that's got to be the focus at the moment. Zidane wants to keep Isco, apparently, says Kev McGee, and De Gea for Kroos and Varane, make it happen, says Supreme. Dante Gerrard thinks Morata would do well in the Premier League. Well, I did the video yesterday about replacements for Zlatan. I included Morata in there. He's still very young. He's got a very good record, goals to game, and he's 6'2", so he's a bit of everything, Morata. It's just whether he can transfer it to the Premier League, which there is always a doubt. Varane and Morata for De Gea, I'd do that. Shaka Phillips, Zlatan deserves to stay for another season. He's earning a lot of money and missed chances, but he's a leader. He deserves to go out on a high with a Premier League medal. I mean, I forgot to ask that. I must ask you all this and everyone at home. It's a very important point here. Is there room for sentimentality in relation to Zlatan? We have an option to keep him for another year. He's probably not going to be back. I don't think he's going to be back. But, I mean, if he's back, I can't see him back before January. £300,000 a week to keep a player who may not come back anyway till next May, wasting £1.2 million a month on a player that I think was holding us to ransom and going to go in the summer anyway. I mean, harsh but fair. I think, no, let him go. Give him the medical rehabilitation, which we're offering, but don't pay his wages after this summer. I mean, Draughty, your thoughts?
Oh, I agree. The thing is, like, he's only been here for a season. He is 35. He's on astronomical wages. He is only on a 1-year contract. So why would you give him another one anyway? I 100% think the club should give him rehabilitation and 100% get him back to fitness, and even after he's fit, if he hasn't got a club and he wants to do some training with us, by all means. But no, don't tie him down to another contract in the summer. You don't know how his rehabilitation is going to go, especially at his age. I don't think he's ever had a serious injury, has he?
No, I don't think so.
So you just don't know. And at his age, it's not going to be like he's going to spring back like when he's in his early 20s. No. For me, no. But absolutely help him out, but no, not a new contract.
And I mean, I don't think it's as left field. I mean, we saw them all in their T-shirts today. Mourinho thinks a lot of him. I wouldn't be surprised if we did it. I just don't think we should. And that goes against what I was saying a little while ago, because I love Zlatan. I think he's been fantastic for us this season. But there's no sentiment there. I think, he could have committed in January. Mourinho openly said he wanted him for another year, and he didn't commit. He was like, oh, we'll see what will happen. And I think, part of that's down to his own arrogance. Part of it's down to his agent. Part of it's down to what Drawsey just said there. He's never had a serious injury. He looks after himself. But he played Russian roulette, and we can't keep somebody like that for another year.
No, I'm the same as you, Mark. I think it's his own sort of misfortune that he's done this to himself. Not the injury, obviously, but like you said, he had the chance, and he has been holding the club to ransom. And I did hear a rumour that he was going to go to the MLS and maybe get loaned back to United, and it just sounds messy. And it would just be a complete waste of money. And there is no time for sentiment in business or in football, to be honest. So it's unfortunate, and it's a real shame for him to go out like this. But again, I don't think he'll ever play again. I really don't.
Can I just jump in there, guys? Mm-hmm. What if it was Rooney? Okay, Rooney's been here at the club a very long time. He's only a few years younger than Zlatan. What if Rooney had the same injury at this time? Do you stand by him? Just imagine he only had 1 year left on his contract. What happens with sentiment then?
That's a good point.
Rooney retires. He retires all day.
It's a nice timing. Let me just have a look at some live comments. I haven't. Yeah, we are very close to 80,000 subscribers. People are on about dabbing. I'll happily do it, but we won't hit 80,000 on this show tonight. I know we're only 45 away, but I don't think we don't sort of get that sort of volume on a non watch along sort of show. But if you think you can do it. But I don't think we will. But we will hit it this week, which is absolutely fantastic. So thanks for everybody who is joining and getting involved. It's a pleasure to do the channel, and as always, thanks for everyone watching tonight, because your comments are fantastic. Sporting Filming Stand, Mark, didn't you find it a bit weird as all in the Zlatan tops? Well, it was Rojo as well. I'm not going to spend too long on it, because I think it's been a fantastic day for Manchester United. I listened to Mourinho after the show, and they're obviously very upset as a team and as a manager what's happened to lose two players with knee injuries. But me and Ross did think it was a joke when somebody put it up on the live comments, because we were live at the time. All I would say is that, look, people get injuries in football, but people died watching Manchester United play on Thursday night in Nigeria. We are a worldwide club. We took the piss out of Man City when they did it for Gundogan. For me, it doesn't sit right for those reasons. But I'm not going to rant about it, because each to their own. I mean, Ross, what was your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I didn't agree with it. I think the only sort of saving grace is I didn't really see a lot from it on Twitter, so there couldn't have been a lot of TV coverage on it, and I don't hope to think that the sort of the pundits didn't really talk a lot about it, because I'd rather it not really spoken about. Again, I find it quite embarrassing, just based on the reaction of what happened when Gundogan, because I was first jumping on that bandwagon. I thought it was hilarious. So yeah, I'd just rather not see that, to be honest.
And Drawsey?
No, it's an embarrassment when they do that. It's just like, a player's injured. Why have T-shirts for pray for this player? Grow up. Sorry.
We genuinely thought it was a joke, and we had to check it, because I just think, what I personally think football lives in a bubble anyway, away from the fans, and it does isolate itself from football fans a little bit too much. We're the ones who put the money in. Sponsors wouldn't come into football if there wasn't so many fans watching the football. And I think when players come around with T-shirts with Zlatan and Rojo on the back, it just isolates them even more. These are well-played footballers getting injuries, playing the game that they're paid very well to play. It's horrible. I'm gutted about Zlatan, but it's part and parcel of the game. And I think when you run around with names on the back, it is embarrassing. But like Ross says, fortunately, it's not been blown up that much, because I think it's a bit embarrassing. But there'll be people out there just saying, I mean, it's like Chocolate Cake 2001. He says it was probably a team bonding thing, and if it brings the team together, fine. And there'll be people who say it's absolutely fine. I agree, but I don't agree. I disagree. But it's not something we're going to spend a lot of time on. Each to their own. And Supreme says, "Rest in peace to the fans in Nigeria." The official account actually took way too long to tweet that out as well. But each to their own. Again, I think we are a global club, and maybe we should have done something about that. But I'm not in charge. I'm nothing to do with that. I want to talk about Rooney. It's funny because I gave Rooney a good glowing reference for his game today. If you didn't see the game or whatever, I wouldn't give him any higher than an 8. I think I'd give him an 8 out of bit generosity, probably a 7. Some people said he was crap, but what I did like about Rooney, and he came out after the game and he openly said it, he said, me and Martial have given the manager food for thought. But what I did like about Rooney today, Ross, was the fact that, and I know I'm coming to you first because I know you've been a Rooney fan in the past, he seemed to have more frustration about him than I've seen in 3 or 4 years, and I think that's great again from Mourinho, because what I think Rooney, when he was given the captaincy, whether it was kids or whatever, he lost the fire, and I think Rooney without the fire is what you get for the last 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely bang on. I think that's what diminished from his game. He lost that anger and that desire and that angerness with not playing and with playing and with referees, and it just spurred him on. And yeah, he did have that today. I think with how he performed, I think our sort of estimation on what Rooney's level of performance has gone down quite a lot. And based on that, I thought he played really well. But he played nowhere near where Rooney could or should be playing. But I just think that we're consolidating that a bit. And he was very good by Rooney standards over the last 2-3 years. But I still think he was making mistakes. And I think that was due to the fact that he's had quite a long layoff. And he's just come back. He played 90 minutes. But like you were saying earlier today, Mark, it's nice because he can actually come into this team now. I know it's probably because of injuries, but he can make a serious difference to this United team. And he now can almost force his way back into Mourinho's thoughts for next season if he makes the difference come, Europa League or come maybe getting fourth. So as a Rooney fan, I'm pleased to see that. I think I still think his career might be over, but he has time now to prove us all wrong.
Let me just take some comments, then I'll come back to you, and I want to ask Drawty a question about Rooney that I think everyone needs to answer. And I need to talk about that as well. SNY is talking about Ronaldo. We will touch on that next. I just wanted, there was some... Rooney's crap, says Gareth Martin. Rooney impressed me today. The last time I saw Rooney play well was 2011, says Tyrone. Dante Gerrard, it was his kids that took his anger away. Still sell Rooney and get him as a manager when he retires, says XL. I think half of that's a good idea. Manager of Manchester United, bloody hell. God. Rooney said he is fighting to get into the team in his interview, says Mikey Booth. Well, he should have been fighting for the last 3 years. It's inexcusable, but it's good to actually see him fighting again. It was nice to see that passion. Mark, if Rooney played like that for the rest of the season, would you keep him for another season, says Sporting Filming Stand. That's exactly what I was going to ask Drawty. If Rooney finishes the season well, can you see him staying? Do you think he should stay?
To be honest with you, it's got to be about the future of Manchester United, not about an individual. And at this point in time, with Martial and Rashford coming to the fore, with Zlatan with a serious injury, obviously we need a striker there. We need someone better than Rooney up front. I don't think Rooney can carry us anymore. The romantic option is to keep him, but to be honest with you, if we could get someone like Griezmann, maybe an Icardi or a Belotti or Lukaku, whoever, they're only going to add to Manchester United. For me, no, you don't give him another season because I don't want to see his legacy kind of burn out, and even he doesn't want that. So to be honest with you, I think the romantic option is he goes back to Everton.
I'll tell you what, if he plays like he did today, I think he'd do a great job for Everton. I don't think he's Manchester United quality anymore. I think, Ross, you made a great point that I was going to say before I went back to Drawty there. I think United fans have been frustrated with Rooney for a long time, but I think finally United have been playing well without Rooney, that we've cut him a lot of slack. And I think today he wasn't anywhere near as good as what Wayne Rooney can be, but he played well within the decline that as fans have come to terms with. I think we used to get really frustrated with Rooney because he was getting picked every week, the team was crap, and you're like, you're our biggest earner, you're our captain, where's the Rooney gone? I think today he came back, he didn't play, he wasn't in my top 4 players. He was a 7. I give him 8 out of 10 out of generosity, but he was a 7 out of 10 comfortably. He was nowhere near what Wayne Rooney can be, but I think we've become like, you know what, you could be a contributor in the next few games. You can help us out, and I think that it's great that we've come to that situation now. I said it on the show today. I don't detect any negativity from any United fans at the moment. It's almost like we've all closed shop. We're all having a siege mentality. Everybody who's part of that squad now is needed, and sod the rest. Let's just go for it. Let's back the team, let's back the players, and let's see what happens. I think we've been fully justified to be critical of players and performances over the season, but we're now at the business end. The players are responding, the players are playing well. Mourinho's got it down to a T. I think it's great, and I think Rooney can be a part of that. But for me, regardless of what he does over the next few weeks, he goes.
I'm going to go kind of against it, and
Good.
the only reason for that is it depends on two things. I think regardless of how he plays up to the end of the season, I think Mourinho will have a conversation with Rooney, which will go something like, sort of, next season you're going to play less, but I still want you in and around the squad. I think he'll word it like that. Then it's totally up to Wayne Rooney, and I will respect him if he wants to stay or go, to be honest, because if he wants to stay and continue to fight against players like Griezmann, I just think we've got the right manager to manage that situation better. I think under Van Gaal, it was Rooney. It was the same under Moyes. Jose Mourinho is the first manager that's actually seen the decline in Wayne Rooney, which is great. But if he does make a difference and he wants to stay, I think he can potentially make a difference next season. Even if it's not on the pitch, even if it's just on the bench, but just providing that sort of old head and a little bit of the old guard remaining with Manchester United. And I know a lot of people say about his salary, but I just think he brings in so much in revenue anyway. He's still one of our biggest global names, regardless of how he's playing. I don't think the salary really is a problem. But I'll be happy to see him stay or go, to be honest, because if he goes, fantastic. We can all forget the Wayne Rooney problem. But if he stays, I think he stays under good pretense, and I think Mourinho will handle the situation well.
It's 2-1 in El Clasico for those who want to be updated. Rakitic has put them ahead. Obviously, Madrid are at home. The thing about the Rooney thing, I think I said it on the... Well, it's the next topic I want to talk about, really. Who replaces Zlatan? There's a few candidates, and there are probably people we won't even mention who could come in. But so I want to know from you, Ross, and from you, Draughty, who you would get in as a replacement for Zlatan, and people can comment below. But I did say on the video yesterday, when I was talking about my top 6 candidates, that I did throw Rooney in there, even before today's performance, even before he'd scored today. I just got a funny feeling that what Mourinho's lost in Zlatan, he might look closer to home and say, well, I've got Rooney here, who's been here most of his career. He is respected. He is a leader. I need to have that sort of thing in my squad. Obviously, he's not going to play every week, but I think the Zlatan injury almost could rescue Rooney's career at United if, like Ross says, he's happy to just be a squad player. And that is a big if, because obviously Rooney could go back to Everton and play every week, but Everton can't pay him 300 grand a week. And I think if Rooney's got no future at Manchester United, which was very evident in February, the fact that Mourinho came out in February and said, if he wants to go to China, he can, and he nearly did, he was finished. I think that Zlatan injury sort of changes that. And Rooney, obviously, could stay at United. I don't know how many years he's got left on his contract. I think it's 2. So he could earn a lot more money staying at United at a limited role. But we'll watch the space. As I said, he's a very important player of the squad for the next few weeks. We need him. We need everybody. But replacement for Zlatan, there will be one, Draughty. Who do you think it will be, and who would you like?
You know how I like my left field kind of signings. I kind of want Timo Werner of RB Leipzig. 17 goals this season in Bundesliga. He's only 21 as well. I just kind of see... He's German, and we know about German efficiency. I also talked to you about Kasper Dolberg, who don't feels ready yet. For me, personally, Lukaku, just because he's Premier League proven. But I would like to see Timo Werner.
Okay. I don't want Lukaku because I just don't think he's good enough in the big games, especially he just never turns up against United. But, as I've already said, same with Michael Keane. If Mourinho decides he wants Michael Keane and Lukaku, I'll bow down to what Mourinho does because he's the manager of Manchester United. And if he thinks he can turn Lukaku into a top United striker or Michael Keane into a top United centre-back, then Mourinho knows more than I do. But I personally wouldn't go for either of those. What about you, Ross? In replacing Zlatan, who would you go for?
I'd probably go for someone with more experience because I think the youth replacements for Zlatan is Martial and Rashford, and I'm happy with them as our sort of young strikers. I'd probably throw the book at someone random like Lewandowski if Bayern Munich would ever get rid of him, because I just think a serial finisher like that, regardless of his age. I know he's like coming up to 30, but I just think we need an experienced head up front that's a consistent goal scorer. And I think you can kind of make an argument for that with Lukaku or even Kane, who I don't think will leave because they have played Premier League for quite a few years and have scored goals for quite a few years. But if there was a small chance Lewandowski would leave, and I think there was some mutterings of it a few weeks ago when he wasn't playing as such, I'd throw the book at him, to be honest.
I think the politics of the summer are just really, really interesting because, and this is why it's so important that we get Champions League football if we want to get a top replacement for Zlatan, because we are replacing Zlatan here. It's no good people saying, oh, Lukaku or Morata really, because they're not replacements for Zlatan. Zlatan, I believe, is in the top 4 or 5 strikers in the world still as a number 9. I mean, Messi and Ronaldo are just superhuman beings, but as a number 9 he's still one of the best in the world, and that's what we should be replacing him with. But the politics of this summer are really interesting. Aubameyang has always said he wants to go and play for Real Madrid or Barcelona, but there's rumours that Real Madrid will move for Mbappe, and there's rumours that they'll go for Lewandowski. Well, they can't sign all 3 of those players. So if Aubameyang's itching for a move and Real Madrid actually do get Mbappe and Lewandowski, then that opens up the possibility that Aubameyang might go, well, I can't go to Real Madrid. United go, we'll have you. He could come to us. Or Real Madrid could get Aubameyang, which opens the door for us to get Mbappe. Will Barcelona move away from Messi, Neymar and Suarez to get another name in that probably won't play that often? So there's lots of potential around there, and I think it's so important that Manchester United are in the Champions League, because then when you can call it scraps, you can call it politics, but I think there are strikers available. And when Ross says, well, Lewandowski, well, why not? What if Real Madrid sign Mbappe and Aubameyang and Lewandowski fancies a move? Then maybe he's available for United. So it's very interesting. I did my video yesterday on it. Mbappe, Aubameyang were obviously mentioned. Kasper Dolberg, which obviously Drawty knows about, he was mentioned. Rooney was mentioned. But for me, realistic and what I would like to see at Manchester United, with a bit of Cantona, a bit of hot-headedness, would be Icardi from Inter Milan. I really like him. I like him a lot. He's scored a lot of goals. It's nothing to do with him scoring a recent hat-trick. I've been on about him for a long time. He's tenacious. He's a great finisher. He's not particularly tall. I think he's about 5'11", but he's a fighter up front. He's quick. He's skillful, and he's a bit of a nut job. And to be honest, I like that in a Manchester United shirt. He might pick up a few red cards, but we're not linked to him. I don't think we'll get him, but I would like him. But it's got to be, I'll go back to you, Drawty. It's got to be, for me, top talent. And I do agree with what Ross said there, that we've got Martial and Rashford are young. We don't want to go into next season with because we should have beaten a lot of teams this year. We just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. It's nothing to do with bad performances. We couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, which I agree with Ross. I think it's got to be somebody who has got some experience of doing that over a number of years to take on that responsibility.
Are you talking to me or Ross?
Yeah.
Icardi, I mean, he's a nutter. He's a proper nutter. He's kind of reminds me of Balotelli levels of nutterness. But he's great.
Though.
He's fantastic. For the last 3 years, I'd like to be fair, I wanted United to sign him, and it just never happened. But I'm going to throw out one of his teammates, Gabriel Barbosa. He's not playing. He's not getting any. He's been a flop, but he's just not getting game time. And the thing is, for Santos, a bit like Neymar, he was absolutely prolific. And there are rumours that Arsenal are kind of looking at him, and there are a couple of clubs are thinking about putting in a cheeky bid, very, very low, to try and get him and kickstart his career again. He's still very, very young. He's got that kind of sellability as well. So he's a bit left field. But like you say, Icardi, you'd like to see him. Belotti, again, another very, very talented player. Griezmann, we haven't even mentioned him on the show.
I don't mention Griezmann because I don't see him as number 9. I think Griezmann will come. Although, if we keep Rooney, I suppose that would... I just see Griezmann as the Rooney replacement. That's what I see him as, that player who can play anywhere behind the striker, can also play as a striker if you really need him. But I think, you look at United maybe on the game on Thursday, if you've got Griezmann, well, you'd be saying, well, let's put Rashford up front. We could play Griezmann on the left. We could play him on the right. We could play him in behind. So I think that's where Griezmann comes in for me. And I still think we'll get Griezmann. But I just think, as an out, we need an out-and-out striker, don't we? Because We've had Rashford and Zlatan this year. You could argue we need two. I mean, Mourinho sort of alluded to it himself, how he'd love to have a Hernandez, somebody he can chuck on for 20 minutes who will score a goal.
I kind of one name I'm going to chuck out there, and everyone will be like, "You're mad for saying it." Look at where Barcelona are at the moment. They're not what they were 5 years ago, and they're slightly in decline. Obviously, Messi's aging, Suarez is aging as well. They're not getting any younger, and Neymar's kind of their spearhead. Now they're talking about Mbappe going to Barcelona. Neymar's had a few problems as well over there, and he seems a little tiny bit unsettled. If you had a blank checkbook, would you chuck it at Neymar?
Well, I'll let Ross answer that. Ross?
Yeah. Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if we bid for Neymar in the summer. I think that Woodward's got an eye on it, and I think he's right. And I think Neymar's agent's a bit cheeky, and I think he's probably releasing statements to all the clubs that he's unhappy. I think there probably will be a bid. I don't think he is the future of Barcelona. They have nothing else in that team for me at the minute. Like you say, Messi, his career is waning, and Suarez has not been as effective this year. It's all about Neymar for that team, and if they lose him, I think the rebuild job for them just becomes too big. So I don't think they'll get rid of him. But it wouldn't surprise me if Neymar would want to go. But but to answer your question, Georgie, I would throw the checkbook at him. Yes, I would.
The thing is, though, because with Neymar, he's a global superstar. And for him to have that kind of world record bid would be big for the ego. I think he'd come into Manchester United and absolutely waltz it in the Premier League. I don't think it's as silly as people think. We're not going to get a Bale. We're not going to get Cristiano Ronaldo back at Manchester United. You know, that ship has sailed so many times, it's off in the distance. I think the only massive summer signing anyone could get is Neymar, and it could be under the radar. It just seems so improbable that we've seen weirder things happen. He's not going to go to Real Madrid. That would never happen. The only club Neymar could ever go to is Manchester United. So, I don't know. We'll wait and see. But it depends on Champions League football. What do you reckon, Mark?
I know it's common knowledge that Ed Woodward's been after Neymar for the last 2 or 3 years. It is. He's probably after Bale as well. But it's common knowledge within the club and leaks out of the club that Woodward likes to sign Galacticos and would love to sign Neymar. We were after him, I think, 2 years ago. So if there was any hint of it, anything's possible at Manchester United. People this time last year, if you'd said we're signing Pogba for 89 million, they'd have laughed at you. But so anything is possible. Anything is possible. Messi will definitely sign for a new contract. I know he's only got a year left, but he will. And talking of that, it's 2-1 still, but Ramos has just been sent off for a 2-footed challenge on Messi, so that's probably going to end there if you've got any interest in the Liga. But a lot of you are starting to mention Thomas Muller, which I don't think we'll do, because I think Thomas Muller was always a Van Gaal pet project, and he's loyal to Van Gaal, and I think Van Gaal and Mourinho have had a fallout, and I don't think Muller would come to play for Mourinho. But I think Muller could be an adoptive number 9 that we need. He's not playing much for Bayern, but I don't expect anything to happen with that. But I just think it's going to be it's easy to build up a summer. It's easy to build up a summer and say it's going to be amazing. We've already had 2 or 3 fantastic summers. I think this one will surpass it, but we've got to get ourselves in Champions League. And then I think it's going to be better than last year. I really do, because I just think there's so many potentials that maybe last year there wasn't that many potentials, but there are this year. And, we'll be with you for all of it. We've been an hour. Fantastic. Perfect timing. I don't know whether we've lost Ross. I can only see an icon there.
No, I'm still here.
He's still there. Well, thanks for coming on, lads. I'll go to you first, Georgie. Shout out your Twitter, and thanks for coming on.
Cheers, mate. What I am going to say very, very quickly is there's 1,100 of you watching right now. And I'm guessing not all of you have subscribed to the channel. If you do subscribe tonight and we get up to 80,000 subscribers, Mark promises to dab on the next video. Don't you, Mark?
I can do that, yeah. I can do that.
Yeah, 100%. So, I'm not going to shout out my Twitter. I'm not into personal gain. So, cheers for having me on.
And also drop a like on the video. It's nice to get 1,000 likes on the video, especially on the Sunday show, because through all these subscribers we have now and through all the great community we have, and it is a collective, it's not about personal gain or anything like that. United Stand's never been that, and those people who've been here from the start will know that. From day one, when we had like 30 people watching, to now, the Sunday night show was where it started. Sunday night show, we used to do it once a week, and it will always be very important to us. So please drop a like on it if you enjoy the United Stand. Thanks for coming on, Ross. Give yourself a shout out on Twitter. You should follow Ross on Twitter. I've calmed down over the last 12 months. I don't get involved in stuff anymore, and I don't really say what I really think. But Ross certainly does, and it's well worth a follow. Some of it's very funny.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yeah, I'm in it for the personal gain, guys. So has a 90, and give us a follow.
Thanks, everybody. Really enjoyed the show tonight. It's been a fantastic Sunday. I think Manchester United at the moment is just brilliant. I think Mourinho is finally getting it the way he wants it to be. I think the players are responding. I think he's got this mentality within the players now where they are going to work hard for him. It was great to see Martial finally arrive today. He was superb. It was great that City played a bit of extra time, and Aguero and Silva, I think they will play, but there are injury doubts. And Liverpool bottling it, 1 shot on goal in 90 minutes. I mean, that's a team, that's Liverpool, the great Anfield hope for you. So a very good Sunday. Man City on Thursday, we start to work towards that. But tomorrow night at 8:30, it's back. Couldn't do it last week because of the bank holiday. It's your show tomorrow night, folks. 8:30, Skype Goldbridge. Skype Goldbridge, all one word, is the Skype name to Skype us tomorrow night. We'll be live from 8:30. Your show, whatever you want to talk about. So Lorenzo, I don't know if you're still there, I know you mentioned it. If you Skype in tomorrow, you can be the first guest. So 8:30 tomorrow, Skype Goldbridge. We're building up towards Man City. Thanks everybody for watching. Really great day, and I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching.